Happy Monday out there, Team 42. It's your skipper here, Darius to present our macro minute for Monday, September 29th, 2025. As always, we'll start with the executive summary from today's lead-off morning note. If you would like to review the analysis supporting these conclusions and to see if you need to make any changes in your portfolio to remain on the right side of market risk, or to get on the right side of market risk to the extent you haven't been following KISS or Dr. Mo, you need to be a client of 42 Macro. So today's key macro question is, should you be concerned about the pending U.S. government shutdown? Our answer, no, absolutely not. As we and several legendary investors have long maintained, there are only six macro forces that contribute to the momentum and dispersion within and across asset classes on a trend basis: growth, inflation, monetary policy, fiscal policy, liquidity, and positioning. The likelihood of a government shutdown altering the trajectory of one of these key macro cycles on a durable basis is incredibly low. In fact, the longest U.S. government shutdown ever, which spanned December 22nd, 2018 through January 25th, 2019, saw the S&P 500 rally 10% during the shutdown and another 10% in the 3 months following the shutdown. Perhaps the government should shut down more frequently. With this much needed context in mind, we are loath to report that President Donald Trump will host top congressional leaders at the White House Monday to negotiate a short-term spending bill before the October 1st deadline to prevent a government shutdown. The measure would fund the government only through mid-November and require Democrat support to avoid a shutdown and the support of at least some Senate Republicans to pass it. Democrats demand that the bill extend healthcare subsidies and reverse healthcare budget cuts, while Republicans insist those issues be negotiated after preventing a shutdown. For those unfortunately keeping score at home, the U.S. government relies on 12 annual appropriations bills, and with none enacted before the October 1st start of the fiscal year, must use continuing resolutions to maintain funding. Congress already passed 3 temporary patches for fiscal year 2025, the last in March. There have been 14 shutdowns since 1981, lasting from 1 day to 35 days, compared with pre-1981 funding gaps when agencies remained open and were later reimbursed. Shutdowns pause many federal functions and furlough many employees, while essential services such as law enforcement and public safety continue without pay until funding resumes, with the 2019 law guaranteeing back pay for furloughed federal workers. Private contractors from SpaceX to federal janitorial services face revenue losses during shutdowns, with service contract employees historically furloughed without back pay. So hopefully everyone got this all this intricate details on what is clearly not a very big deal for global financial markets and the economy. They're going to make it into the big deal though this week, guaranteed. It's going to be all over the news, both financial news and regular news. And so you're going to get you're going to get your feel on shutdown. And I'm telling you right now, it's not going to matter. So let's move on. Transition to our 42 macro dashboard here. As always, a wrap up with the question from our community. This one's titled Devaluation and Inflation. It says, hi, Darius and the community. I've been tracking and modeling my portfolio performance for coming up on 30 years. I'm almost at the land of critical mass, but not quite there yet, and am so appreciative of 42 Macro and in particular KISS. So thanks for the kind note. I am able to spend more time on my bike and with my family. Here's my question. I've been modeling inflation in my projections to project purchasing power of future value of the current nest egg, such as what would a value of a $2 million retirement portfolio today be worth in the future. When I started, it was 30 years in the future. I've used 3% for many years. Recently, I've heard folks arguing that the currency is being devalued, debased by something like 5% annually. Are these impacts cumulative? In other words, should my models that target the effective purchasing power be using an 8% net rate? That seems kind of steep to me. In short, this creates the net hurdle for portfolio performance to keep up with. Well, that's the question: inflation, devaluation, or both. Question goes on to read, can you provide some clarity on how we should look at the future value of the purchasing power of the dollars we're accumulating to retire on time and comfortably? So phenomenal question. Really appreciate the kind compliment. One of the things that I love most hearing about the benefits in terms of what our members of Team 42 feel with regards to KISS is getting more time to spend back with their family, getting more time to spend with their family, getting more time to spend, doing things that they love, like this person obviously cares about biking. And so that stuff, I mean, this is what you should be providing. Hey, newsflash, time out. If you work in the financial services industry, that's what you should be providing: financial security, peace of mind, quality of life. This is what we're supposed to be doing with these skills. A lot of times in this industry, we take these skills and just figure out more and more clever ways to make money for ourselves while leaving our clients as, just over there in the corner with pie chart asset allocations and the like. And that's inappropriate, very inappropriate. And so obviously we built our firm with the mission to change that, very often very inappropriate relationship between Wall Street and the customers that it serves. And so obviously what we've built with KISS is very clearly fixing that for thousands of investors around the world who are now able to have the kind of returns in their portfolio that allow them to outpace whether it be 3% inflation or 8% monetary debasement, while also having the peace of mind, knowing that the same systematic signals that help them maximize upside capture in bull markets also help them minimize downside capture in bear markets, so they could sleep confidently and comfortably at night, knowing that they're not going to blow up their retirement account, overreact, because some, golf course person, investment advisor, who wants to spend all day on the golf course has them in a pie chart asset allocation that doesn't manage risk. So, just super grateful for this kind of feedback. So time in from this public service announcement. Going back to the question, I don't know that we can. I mean, I get it. In terms of this is a theoretical exercise. Let's be honest, it's an academic exercise. Plugging in some value for inflation or some value for the growth of M2 or broad money supplies is helpful and handy, and it lets you get a general sense of the kind of growth that you need in your account to overcome those types of hurdle rates. Well, I mean, we can lick our fingers in the air and pick a number. We can, look at a trailing, momentum study of whatever the numbers were. But the reality is, this is an academic exercise. We don't know what the future values of inflation will be. We don't know what the future values of the growth of money supply will be. What we do know, however, is that KISS is perfectly constructed to not have to know the answers to that. By adding gold and Bitcoin in your portfolio, what you're essentially doing is, playing defense in a way that allows you to outrun financial repression via gold and outrun monetary debasement via Bitcoin. So you don't really have to know ex ante what the future inflation levels will be, ex ante what the future monetary debasement levels will be. Some people will become very cocksure and hyper convinced about exactly what those numbers are. And I'm telling you right now, as someone who models better than most of the people you listen to talking, we can't possibly know those numbers well out into the future, certainly on a multi-year and perhaps multi-decade time horizon. So again, that's why I call it. It's an academic exercise. But your goal as a risk manager shouldn't be to, plug in a bunch of random numbers that you either got from math or some licking your finger in there. It doesn't really matter because they're all made up. Your goal shouldn't be plugging in numbers to, play around with stuff. Your goal should be to have the horses in your stable that are going to outrun monetary debasement and financial repression in a way that allows you to, sleep comfortably at night from a risk management perspective. That's the goal. And so that's what KISS provides. We can pick a number, 3%, 5% inflation, 8% monetary debasement, 15% monetary debasement. It doesn't matter. KISS is set up to outperform regardless of what those numbers are in the future, because we're not going to know, certainly on a multi-decade time horizon basis. But what we do know is that these are the types of assets you need to have in your portfolio to take advantage to play defense against inflation and monetary debasement. So this is a phenomenal process that we built here, and we're super glad that we have so many investors around the world, thousands of investors around the world, using this system to maximize upside capture in bull markets, minimize downside capture in bear markets, getting time back to spend with their family, getting time back to focus on their hobbies, and ultimately improve the quality of their lives. And so we're super grateful for that. I appreciate you guys for tuning into these. We'll catch you back here tomorrow. Have a great day. Cheers.